I'm John Larry Granger, Music Director of the Santa Cruz County Symphony, which I've had the pleasure of conducting for the past 21 years. This is my final season with the orchestra, but I thought some of you might enjoy learning a little bit about me as a person, how I got started in music. I was fortunate enough to grow up in New York and then Virginia, and then moved to California, but part of that was changing schools almost every other year over the 12 years I was in elementary and high school. So music became my best friend, because I really didn't have time to make long-term friends in my life. Some music programs were better than others, but I'd had excellent training in the beginning, first on clarinet and then the oboe, which sort of became my voice, actually, as I grew older and went on to college to major in music. I taught school for many years in the music programs in Southern California, and then was playing in the professional orchestras and many of the recording studios in Los Angeles as well. So those were very productive years for me. Then I had the privilege of studying with Herbert Blumstedt, who is the conductor emeritus now of the San Francisco Symphony, but at the time he was the conductor of the Dresden State Opera Orchestra. And he was doing workshops in Southern California every year for young conductors who wanted to study and improve their craft. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about conducting. So by the second year, the second summer, he invited me to follow him to Europe and study with him in Dresden, which was behind the Iron Curtain. And it was really an incredible experience, both musically and socially and culturally, to see the importance of music and how the language of music really does translate to all cultures, and what it meant, particularly in a society like that where there were fewer freedoms. So I came back and was appointed to be the conductor of the South Coast Symphony in Southern California. And 9 years after that, I was selected to be the music director here in Santa Cruz. And it's just been an exceptional 2 decades of wonderful time. I've had the privilege of sharing all of the Beethoven symphonies with the orchestra, all of the Brahms symphonies, most of the Tchaikovsky and Dvorak symphonies. We did all the great Stravinsky ballets. Our California Arts Council rating moved in 1996 to the top rating of orchestras in the state of California, which was a great landmark in the history of the orchestra, which I was so pleased to be a part of. And we've shared so much, I think personally. You know, music is a communicative art, and so the ability to share part of yourself in the music. Every time we revisit a score, perhaps we've done 5, 10 years earlier, that we're all different people than we were then, and different life experiences bring different styles and depth to that music. In the 21 years, I've lost my father, my sister, and most recently my mother. And all of that is something that I've been supported by with our musical family. I very much wanted, I think, because of those changes in my early life, to have music really become a family, that our symphony was a family, whether you were on stage performing in the orchestra or out in the audience, that it's something we all shared together. And this community has really provided me with that. So even though I'll be leaving as music director, I'll certainly be having lifelong friends that will be part of my life, I hope as long as I live, because they're very special people here in Santa Cruz. I think one of the things I learned, both in teaching and conducting young people, and I've had a great privilege of doing that for over 40 years, has been this great sense of giving back, something that brought me so much joy, music for all of my life, to give it to young people and seeing them grow. We've had young people here like Aaron Miller, who is a wonderful gifted pianist, played with the symphony when he was 12 years old, went on and has just most recently played with us again as an adult. Those kinds of things are wonderful that you only get to share when you've been in a community, as long as I've had the privilege of doing that and being here with the orchestra. Literally thousands of students, I think I've had a chance to work with. And we put them together every year with our symphony so that they get to work side by side with the adults. And that's part of the tradition that keeps going. And that's part of the tradition that will continue with Santa Cruz Symphony. I think I have the longest tenure of any conductor during the history of the orchestra, but I think the best years are still yet to come. There'll be something new coming, a new vision from a new conductor, and I'll be really watching to see what happens in the future. So some people ask me what our final selection will be together before I retire. I guess you all know the theme from Merry Melodies. Da 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 da. That's all, folks.